Going live. Welcome to Untitled Chapter. Today I got a really simple video for you guys today, and it's about how to have more energy. And I'm gonna give you some very simple but extremely helpful, extremely powerful tips. And I'm gonna start with, honestly, I think the most important one for this video, because it's something that most of us are going through right now, especially if you're watching this video. And I'm gonna tell you to do the one thing that you probably really don't want to do. I'm gonna honestly actually try something. Try it on a few week basis, 2 weeks, because the first few weeks you do this, it's not gonna make you feel better, it's gonna make you feel worse. And that's the idea of no more coffee, no more energy drinks. And honestly, I could feel myself right now wanting to click off of this video just from bringing up that idea. I know that's a really one of the most touchy subjects, though me personally, just speaking from my personal belief, from things I personally experienced, I was actually heavily addicted to coffee at one time in my life. And I mean, I got extremely addicted to coffee. 6 o'clock in the afternoon, if I didn't have another coffee, I'd be going to sleep 3 hours earlier than I really had any reason to do so. You know, for me right now, 6 o'clock in the afternoon, you know, I've been having trouble falling asleep at 2 o'clock in the morning. But when I was addicted to coffee, 6 o'clock in the afternoon, I'm done. But I'm not going to drag out my story too much. I'm going to get into the real important details of it. How did I get so addicted to coffee? I got this pre-workout that was basically just a caffeine boost. It was like a super caffeine boost. I was drinking 2 coffees a day, and then I was drinking this pre-workout. And I think the first time, I remember the first time I had it, 1 scoop, I was good. I was done. I was ready to go. I was on fire. I love that stuff. I didn't want to be away from that stuff. Already on the second day that I already had it, I already had an addiction problem with coffee. And the reason I knew is because I took 1 scoop and it did almost nothing for me. But the day before it had worked. So then I took 2 scoops and then it worked. And I kind of went on a process like that for a few weeks where I was taking 2 scoops. You're only supposed to take 1. I was taking 2 scoops of this stuff. Not to kind of ramble on, but it's just kind of my story of how I got really addicted to coffee. I was taking these super just coffee boost pre-workouts, and if you don't know what pre-workout is, it's basically just like it's like a 5-hour energy, but instead it's a 1-hour energy, because it's just supposed to give you a workout energy for that workout right at the moment. It's not supposed to give you long-term energy, and just like a real pump for it. So yeah, I got really addicted to coffee, drinking 2 coffees a day. And it all happened really fast. This was less than a year, which is probably why it was easier for me to give it up. I never really got into energy drinks because I always have heard about bad side effects with that, and I knew people who were taking them when I was in high school, and they always seemed like they were always really tired. They always seemed like they needed another energy drink, and I was walking around I don't need an energy drink. Why do I have so much energy? You guys don't. When you guys drinking energy drinks and hearing all the bad stuff. So I didn't really get too into energy drinks, but yeah, super addicted to coffee. 6 o'clock in the afternoon, needed another coffee. Going to Dunkin' Donuts twice a day, needed another coffee. I like Dunkin' Donuts. Honestly, I like the taste of the coffee. But going to Dunkin' Donuts twice a day, or I'd fall asleep just hours before I had any reason to fall asleep. And I didn't want to spend my whole day sleeping. So where does all this lead to? It basically leads to the fact that since all this happened so fast, I knew it was because of the coffee. It was less than a year I was heavily addicted to coffee, had no energy, when before this I had no problem having energy. And I got really into coffee easily because just a lot of my coworkers, they were basically all drinking coffee. Thankfully I didn't get into cigarettes because a lot of them are smoking cigarettes too, and that'd give me more health issues, probably more issues with my energy. So a little side note, I mean, that's obviously gonna make you too tired too. Yeah, couple things. Smoke cigarettes, drinking too much alcohol, eating a lot of food that's gonna make you feel tired. But yeah, I really want to do this coffee thing for you, and I know I've dragged out the coffee thing, so I'll promise you I won't drag it out much longer. I'm just gonna say, try to give up coffee for 2 weeks if possible. I know that's you're oh, who am I to tell you to give up coffee? I mean, maybe you don't even drink coffee, and at this point, this whole thing doesn't even matter to you whatsoever. Though I know a lot of people are addicted to coffee, a lot of people drink coffee often, and I'm telling you, it's a fake source of energy. The way I find that coffee works is that it's literally just like a drug. When you don't have it, let's say this is how you normally feel, right? and then you drink coffee that first time, and then you get like a little bit of buzz, right? But then after coffee, instead of going back to where you normally feel, you go lower. And what starts to happen is you drink coffee just to get back to your normal energy level, maybe even a little higher, but you're starting off the day lower energy. When you drink coffee, what it's actually doing is if this is your normal energy level, it's making you feel more tired than what you are. Energy drinks too, is making you feel more tired than what you would be if you have never drunken that coffee in the first place. It's a lot. It's playing games with your minds, with your emotions, with your chemical balances, and it's making you think it's actually giving you more energy when it's actually taking away energy, so that when you drink it, you're like, oh yes, I need my coffee. You feel like you can't live without it, when the reason you can't live without it is because you're addicted to it like a drug. So that's my ramble on coffee. I'm gonna drop that. I'm gonna leave it at that. The next thing I want to talk about is eating food with good nutrition. Now that seems like an obvious one, but I'm gonna bring it up because it's something I've struggled with myself. I've definitely had plenty of times in my life where all I've eaten is junk food, all I've eaten is garbage, all I've eaten was like bad, unhealthy carbs, high sugar foods, a lot of sugar. Not to like get into a rant, it's gonna do the same exact thing that I was just explaining coffee is doing. It's gonna give you like boosts of energy, and then it's gonna drop you down lower. Like this is your main point, it's gonna give you boosts of energy, then drop you down lower than you was before, and boosts of energy drop you down lower. It's a lot of sugar, gonna do the same exact thing as being addicted to coffee and being addicted to energy drinks. So I'm just gonna leave it at that because I don't want to give you guys the same rant twice in a row. That wouldn't make sense. So yeah, food with nutrition. If you could get some fruits, you could get some healthy vegetables in there, that's good for you. Me personally, something I like is replacing a lot of meat with eggs. Now you can feel free to do all your own research about that. You can feel free to, because I know some people don't want to eat eggs. I personally have find that eggs gives me a really good source of protein and fat that doesn't leave me feeling tired and bloated the way a big piece of meat will. And the other thing I like to eat is oatmeal. I feel like oatmeal just gives me a good like source of nutrients. That's good carbs, good protein, without like that like kind of like bloated heaviness feeling that you can get from eating like a big piece of meat, which is traditionally how people will look for to get protein. Besides, you know, these days now you got all these other like protein sources. So yeah. And on meat too, I would actually recommend, if you do want to eat meat, eat it later in the day. Don't start off your day, just all recommendations. You're all free to do whatever you want. Live your life however you want. You don't have to do a thing I'm saying. I'm just giving you my recommendations that's helped me have more energy. I would recommend don't eat a big piece of meat early in the morning. If you want to eat meat, eat it later on at night when you're getting closer to going to bed. And don't believe those lies about people saying that you should eat all your food in the morning and then not eat at night. Don't worry about none of that. I'm gonna get into that in a moment. But the reason I'm telling you to do this is because if you wait till night when you're going to bed anyway, then it doesn't matter if it makes you tired. If you eat a big piece of meat in the morning with this mindset that now you have the whole day to burn it off, well, you're gonna have to burn it off the whole day. When, you know, you could still do all the same amount of exercise and it'll still burn off the meat you eat later anyway. It doesn't really matter. Or you could still do the same amount of exercise and burn off the meat you eat last night. But the point being is, if you start off your day with a big piece of steak, you're gonna feel tired, you're gonna feel bloated, you're gonna have to carry that steak around the whole day. When if you waited tonight, it wouldn't matter as much. Whole milk, that's another one. Whole milk makes you bloated. I switched to almond milk. All personal recommendations, feel free to look up yourself, but since I switched to almond milk, I've had less of a problem with my weight, specifically in my stomach, because I'm of the belief, and there's research behind it to support it, that whole milk makes you really bloated. It makes your stomach like stick out, and makes you like all fat and lethargic, and it's gonna make you feel tired and heavy. You know, kind of while I'm bringing up all these things, you know, weighing less, even a couple pounds less, is gonna give you a lot more energy. You know, there's more, you know, being someone who's really, really thin versus being someone who's really, really overweight, you're gonna feel better. My personal experience, when I was more overweight, and even my friends experienced this too, where he just kind of felt like he would just kind of almost had this like sickness to him that is just like always there. Like there's almost like this feeling of sickness, and you end up just not feeling good, even though there's nothing really wrong with you, even though you don't have any diagnosable conditions. So yeah, I'm gonna kind of wrap up that because I feel like I'm starting to ramble a little bit on that. Eat food with good nutrition. eat meat later at night. Oh yeah, I wanted to bring up something about meat because there's a whole argument there. In evolution, from what I understand, there's people who believe it makes more sense evolutionary that you would actually eat smaller, lighter snacks throughout the day and your heavier snacks at night. You know, you'd be up hunting and gathering, doing tribal things, whatever that would mean, and then later on at night in the day is when you're gonna really sit down with that big piece of meat and cook that food and then eat it. You're not really starting off your day like that. Another tip on nutrition, it's not about what you should eat. I'm not gonna tell you what to eat anymore unless I think of something I think is worth bringing up. But eating more times per day, that's a very ironic and counterintuitive one. But if you're only eating twice a day and you're just eating giant meals, you're just shoving all that food in you at once and then you're carrying it all around the whole day. And you're teaching your metabolism, A, to work slower so it's not going to want to burn off that food, and B, like I said, you have to carry it around all day, versus if you were to break those down and eat like 4 to 6 times a day, one, your metabolism is going to speed up. You're going to start burning off food, you're going to start losing weight. Granted that you're not just eating a bunch of giant horrible meals. Your metabolism is going to speed up, you're going to start having more energy, and you're going to start losing weight in ways you don't even understand. It's kind of weird and kind of really counterintuitive, but that was honestly one of the first things that really kind of changed my life with my fitness goals and my fitness journeys, was to actually eat more times a day, speed up the metabolism, and to eat smaller meals too. See, if you think about it that way, if you're eating 2 giant meals versus 4 to 6 small meals, you're just going to give your body a lot more time throughout the day to process that food, and you're also telling your metabolism to keep working throughout the day to process the food that you're putting in. So it's like a double bonus. Drinking lots of water, drinking massive amount of water is really good. Cutting out juices and sugar. I grew up juices and soda. I honestly grew up, wasn't never really a big soda drinker, but I grew up where all I drank was juice. That was like water to me. So that's just I'm gonna throw that in real quick. I don't want to drag that one out because I got something even better that I want to talk to you guys about. But yeah, switching, dropping soda, dropping sugar, dropping juice, it's going to help you with your weight. It's also going to help you feel a lot better. It's going to help you have a lot more energy, help you be in a much better mood, just help you be a lot more healthier if you try to make your main drink water. And for some people, maybe that's easy. For some people, that seems like impossible. But you really do get used to it really easily, especially when you start noticing differences in your body and you start feeling better and your skin starts looking better. You're going to want to keep drinking that water. So I feel like that's just kind of an obvious one. I don't want to ramble about that too much. One of the last things I really want to talk about too, and another counterintuitive way to give you more energy, is exercise. Me personally, and honestly this isn't just me personally, this is probably everyone who exercises would agree with this, the more you exercise, the more you can exercise. And I think honestly, logically, to me, I think it sounds ironic. Though for me, basically it works like this. When I started walking, I could probably walk half hour, 45 minutes tops, and then I'm done. I'm like, whew, I want to go home, sit down. I did all my walking for today. Like, that would be it. Like, if I did it all in a row, not like I did 5 minutes here, 5 minutes there, but all in a row, about 45 minutes when I started walking, that was when I was done. Oh, my battery's flashing low. That is concerning. I hope that doesn't die on me. I should have brought the spare apparently. So yeah, about 45 minutes, I'm done walking. But for me, what I found is that the more I kept walking, the more I was able to walk. Eventually, after, it wasn't even that long, a week or two, I don't know, it might depend on where you're coming from, but you do it for a few weeks, and then all of a sudden you can walk an hour, and it's no big deal. Then you do that for a few weeks, all of a sudden maybe you can walk an hour and 15 minutes, an hour and a half, and it's no big deal. Walking is almost like, I think in a logical sense, you could think about it however you want, but to me, I think in a counterintuitive sense, it doesn't even make sense, but the more you walk, the more you can walk, and your body just gets used to it over and over and over and over time. And if you just become someone who walks, and I'm not even recommending running. I don't like to run because I'm of the belief that damages your knees. knees. You can feel free to do research about that. I'm not trying to get into that for this video. That's a subject for me. I feel like that's its whole own subject for me to get into, why I don't believe in running, because I believe it damages your knees. Feel free to do your own research on that. So yeah, just in a really simple idea, if the more you walk, the more you can walk. Eventually, you'll start today, a half hour is hard for you. You do it for a couple weeks, I promise you. Granted, it depends on where you started, but after a couple weeks, you'll be walking for 2 hours and it'll be no big deal. Now, I mean, yeah, you know, you look at me, you might be like, oh yeah, of course that guy can walk for a while without getting tired, but looking like this, I would walk probably 45 minutes tops and I'd be done. But now, not even looking that much different, I could walk for 2 hours, and as long as I'm not like really like trying to push myself hard, and I'm like, it's no big deal. If I had to, I could keep walking. And the reason I actually got there wasn't even by choice. I worked jobs where I had to be standing on my feet all day, walking around all day, and at first it was hard, you know, standing roughly around 8 hours on your feet, give or take, you know, an hour or two in there, and having to constantly walk, it sucks at first, but you really do get used to it in a while. So the real thing I want to hit you with here is that, before I check my notes, see if I got anything else I want to leave you guys with, is that walking more is going to give you more energy. And I do got one last point that I really want to hammer home with all this. Is the last thing that I really want to say that really might be the thing that's draining you of energy, because maybe you're doing everything right. This is a possible scenario. You could be eating right, exercising right, but the thing that actually, hope you're hearing background noise, I hope that doesn't come out in the video, but the thing that actually might be draining you is you're around the wrong people. Ooh, I took a weird turn on that one. I forgot I was even going to take that turn. If you're around people who are constantly bringing you down, constantly making you feel worse, just making you feel very negative, very low, ruining your self-esteem, ruining your self-confidence, if you're around people who just make you feel worse, whether that's at your work, someone you're married to, someone you're dating, your friends, your family member, if you're around people who make you feel bad, who bring you down, it does not matter what you do. It doesn't matter if you become the most athletic, fit, healthiest person in your life. And there's plenty of research to actually prove this, that your mindset is actually going to affect your health more than your actual diet does. It doesn't matter if you have the perfect diet and perfect exercise program. If you have a bad mindset, there's nothing you can do. It's gonna, having stress in your life that's unnecessary, it's gonna make you age faster, it's gonna give you health problems, and there's plenty of articles online. You could feel free to do research on your own, because I'm just trying to give you advice. And like I said, you can research anything I'm talking about here, look it up for yourself. There's plenty of research to show that when you're living that certain kind of like emotional conditions, like having anger, can lead to certain problems with a certain organ. Having too much stress leads to problems with certain organs. They have linked having certain emotional conditions with having actual certain diseases, you know, whether it's a heart problem or a liver problem. You know, you don't just get that because you eat bad. There's actually plenty of proof that actually shows that if you're living a life where you just constantly feel bad, you constantly feel down, it doesn't matter. You can be the healthiest person in the world and you're going to develop health problems, and you're going to be like, whoa, what's going on here? If any of that sounds relatable to you, I'm going to leave a link in my description. Hopefully I remember to leave these links. One about how to deal with anger, deal with people more on a situational basis, because I don't want to because I feel like I could turn that into this whole video on its own, and it is. And another one about how to meditate, because that like I said, you could be doing everything right, but if your mind isn't right, your head isn't right, if your emotions aren't right, it doesn't matter if you have the most perfect exercise and health program in the world, diet in the world, you're still going to feel down, you're still going to feel low, you're still not going to feel good, and you're still going to develop health problems, and you're going to wonder what's going on. So yeah, if that sounds interesting to you, I'll leave some links, hopefully I remember in the description for you. And I'm kind of feel like I'm rushing here because my battery, like I said, to my own expectation is flashing that the camera wants to turn off on me. If any of this was helpful to you, please feel free to subscribe, encourage me to make more of these. Oh yeah, and definitely for sure, most definitely, positively, leave any questions in the comments below. Anything you want to see me make a video about, I would honestly prefer to get some suggestions in there, because if I think about it myself, I'm kind of biased just like everyone else to think about the same things over and over again. But if you leave a comment below, I may be able to touch on a whole subject that I would have never thought of to touch on, but maybe I actually have a lot of good information to say about it. Thank you for watching. Hit subscribe if I helped you anyway. Leave comments, do whatever you like, research everything for yourself like I said, and have a nice day. Feel better, guys.